Welcome everyone to the Yo Bro Gaming Review channel, and this is your Road to WrestleMania series, episode number 4. Today, I'm talking about WrestleMania 20. Back in my old setting, nice to be home. Been at a friend's house, taking care of business. We've had, changes with the channel. Been a weird week, but this is our second review of the day, so let's go ahead and let's just dive right into this. WrestleMania 20, where it all begins again. This was in Madison Square Garden, March 14th, 2004. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. Anyone who's been a wrestling fan knows what the main event of this pay-per-view was. And this involved a man who a lot of people don't like to talk about. I just want to get it done. I want to talk about this, and I want to get this out of the way so I can do this review. I do not endorse what Chris Benoit did to his family. No matter what is said, no matter what people speculate, I have no opinion either way. Let me adjust this. What Chris Benoit did was horrible to his family. I am not here to talk about Chris Benoit the man. I'm here to talk about Chris Benoit the wrestler. What Chris Benoit the wrestler did in his career was amazing. From being World Heavyweight Champion to being United States Champion, Intercontinental Champion. The matches he's had with the likes of Kurt Angle, Triple H, all the names. That is what I talk about. That is what I love about Chris Benoit, is his career, what he did in his career. I, however, as a father, I do not endorse Chris Benoit the man. I do not agree with people who will say put him in the Hall of Fame. I don't have anything to do with what he did. I don't talk about it. But being the fact that I have to go into this review where Chris Benoit is the focal point of this event, I can't. But I'm not going to avoid it, because it is a part of wrestling history, and I'm not going to shut it out like WWE did, because it did happen. So, with that being said, that's all I'm saying about him. That is all I'm bringing it up about. That's all I'm going to bring up about that. So I'm going to do this review as if I was a professional, which I am not, but I'm going to keep talking about it. And I just hope anyone who watches this just understands, this is a review. Chris Benoit will have to be talked about. I can't go Shawn Michaels versus Triple H versus the man who cannot be named. Okay, he's not Voldemort. Okay, I can speak his name. So that's it for that. But let's get into this freaking review, all right? Yes! So, this was one of the better WrestleManias. I went back and forth between a couple manias as far as which one I wanted to throw in here, and this won out. You had Taz and Michael Cole on the SmackDown announce team. You had JR and the King who were with the Raw team, and Michael Cole on SmackDown was actually a pretty damn good announcer. What happened when he jumped to Raw? I have no freaking clue. But when he was still with SmackDown, he wasn't bad. He fed off of Taz. Taz is a great announcer. Bring fucking Taz back, right? Get Ronaldo and Taz on an announce team. You've got my money. But this started off with the Boys Choir of Harlem doing the America the Beautiful. And then they had the opening promo. It had, which you don't see a lot anymore, but it had such an epic feel. They show all the different competitors talking about what competing in Madison Square Garden means, what competing at WrestleMania means. And it's just this epic feel to it with the music. Just if you haven't watched this, my God, go and watch this. WWE actually didn't edit this one out too much. But then you get the opening match. The crowd's into this. It's WrestleMania where it all begins again. Step Up by Drowning Pools playing, crowds going crazy. And I missed the days of WrestleMania with the smaller crowds. It was more intimate, more personal. We're now, every event, every WrestleMania is these huge crowds, which is cool to watch when it's a spectacle. But that's what it is. It's a spectacle. This was one of the last of the intimate crowds. The crowds who were really there, really rabid, and really just enjoying it. That New York crowd in this show from start to finish was amazing. Excuse me. So, the first match, though, was for the United States Championship. And this is when the U.S. title was still relevant. It was John Cena, when he was still popular, versus The Big Show. And this was John Cena's first WrestleMania match. And like I said, John Cena was still a relevant guy. This was when he was still the doctor of thugonomics, you know, the whole word life thing. And even I liked John Cena at this time. Yeah, I was cheering for John Cena. And this was Big Show when he was he was really big. Like, he was just fat at this time. Out of shape, fat, just bad. But he was a dominant U.S. champion, you know. Oh, you heard the ding? The ding means the video's done. Let me take care of this real quick. Alright, so John Cena had to face Big Show, and the crowd was firmly behind Cena, and it was still an organic type thing, you know, with the crowd and Cena. But this match, it was all Big Show, pretty much. I mean, Cena would mount a little offense, but Big Show, they built the show to be this dominant champion who couldn't be touched, and he just kept overpowering Cena, kept knocking Cena down, working over Cena. Went for Cena's leg a couple of times because Cena had hurt it apparently at the Rumble. Just the big fight feel in this match. Cena was still a guy who was any means necessary. He was still a guy who would do whatever it took. I loved the way Cena was at this time. When you compare him to how he is now, you know, he's grown on me since probably back at WrestleMania last year. But, you know, Cena would try to mount some offense in this match, but the show kept showing his dominance over Cena. And, ooh, my eyes feel like they're a little burny. But the match, it went on about 15 minutes. Big Show, like I keep saying, he was in control in this match. Let's see. But Cena, you know, he showed a never die attitude in this match. But you finally get to the end of the match, Cena hits an AA, Big Show kicks out. Cena's got that look on his face like, oh my God, what just happened here? You know, Cena was just starting to build offense. So he does something that you'll never see him do now. He played dirty. He goes to the corner, he grabs his chain like, oh, I'm gonna knock him out. He brought these custom knucks because he cut, you know, when Cena first came in, he was the guy who was cutting promos and was rapping. I believe he called Big Show, what did he call him? Oh, he called him the hippo from the Macy's Day Parade. He had the cool custom knucks with the word life on them. They were shaped, you know, colored like the U.S. flag. But he grabs the chain. Ref's like, you can't use it, you can't use it. So he just tosses it. The ref goes grab it. He grabs one of the knucks, hits Big Show in the face, hits it with another AA. 1, 2, 3. John Cena became the new U.S. champion. Had a huge pop. Because like I said, at the time, John Cena was still a fan favorite. So, you know, good ovation for Cena. The match was decent. It was just a lot of Big Show offense. But Cena came through. He looked like a beast in this match. It was cool. So then we see the Coach backstage. And Coach, God bless the man, he's trying to run past a few Hall of Famers. He runs into Eric Bischoff. And Bischoff basically says, I want you to find The Undertaker. And he's like, but boss, he's from SmackDown. He's like, I know. You know, get the jump on the competition. So he goes, you know, he goes to find him. You see Teddy Long back there. A couple of Hall of Famers. And you see Johnny Nitro before he was John Morrison, before he's Johnny Mundo as he is in the Underground now. Then you see Evolution backstage in this hallway. and they're cutting a little promo. It's Ric Flair, it's Batista, and it's Randy Orton, who's the Intercontinental Champion at the time. And they're talking to Mick Foley about how everything started there, how everything's going to end there. And they showed these clips of them beating him up in that same hallway that prior June, how they've, beat him up, how he went home and he came back and Orton's beating him up more, how The Rock came in and he got beat up. And they pretty much, it was a very well put together piece. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. I'm not going to lie. Orton was a really great speaker. He was a great Intercontinental Champion. I think he should have stayed mid-card just a tad bit longer. But next, we get to our second match of the night. And look, this was a long pay-per-view. This was like a 4.5 hour long pay-per-view. This took me a while to get through. And there was a lot of matches. So some of these matches I may kind of skim through a little bit because just the sheer vast amount of time this pay-per-view was, and I don't want to be here for 2 hours talking to you guys and having you just go, are you done yet? Are you done yet? So next was the first of the sudden death fatal four-ways. This was for the World Tag Team titles. And your competitors were Booker T and RVD defending the championships against La Resistance, which was Rene Dupree and Rob Conway, Lance Cade and Mark Jindrak, and the Dudley Boys, who were from New York City. This was also during the time, especially on Raw, the tag team division was super thin. It was odd. It was a strange time for all the tag teams. It was odd. But this match in particular, it was good. It wasn't very long. It was chaotic. La Resistance was a good team, and they had been for the last year, even though they had switched out people. The Dudleys were clearly the best team of this event. Booker T, he ended up getting in the ring. He got worked over by La Resistance. The Dudleys kept doing what they were doing. The only team I didn't really see do much was Cade and Jindrak. They looked all right, but I think Cade got better when he got with Murdoch. But yeah, Booker T ended up fighting back. RVD got the hot tag. He cleared the ring of everyone. He showed his aerial skills off. He's Rob Van Dam. A brawl ended up breaking out with all four teams. Then you get a series of, you've seen this a lot in matches. Each person gets their move, and then the next one gets their move. That happened. So Booker T ends up hitting the scissor kick. RVD hits a 5-star frog splash, and they retain their World Tag Team titles. The match was okay. It was just chaotic, and it was hard to follow in this match, but not as hard as a match coming up a little later. So then you see the coach backstage again. He's still looking for The Undertaker. He goes to this tech guy. Hey, where's the weird noises that are happening, around here? Do you know where they are? And the guy says, oh, they're down over there. It's really creepy. So he goes down there and you see this door and there's like this blue light shit. Oh, is it The Undertaker? And you kind of knew though it wasn't. And then comes out Mean Gene Okerlund and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Bobby just got inducted to the Hall of Fame. Mean Gene, and they got lipstick on their face. Looks like they got denture burns. It's really weird. And they're just playing like, oh, we were just in there playing poker, and then out comes Mayan and the Fabulous Moolah. They were playing a game of strip poker. Yippee! So they ended up getting dragged back in there. It was a funny segment. I'm not going to lie. Very funny segment. But next up was Chris Jericho versus Christian. This, to me, outside of the main event, this match stole the show. It had story. It had great competitiveness. I've made notes of things that happened in the match, but man, I don't know if I can do this justice. I'm going to try, but all this started from Jericho and Christian were a tag team. They were the champions, and they made a bet, $1 Canadian, that Jericho couldn't sleep with Lita before Christian, or couldn't sleep with Trish before Christian slept with Lita. Lita wasn't involved in this storyline. She had other things going on at the time. But, Jericho, he fell for Trish, and he wanted to cut off the bet. She found out. Then they said they could still be friends. And then Christian tried the whole, oh, well, if he's your friend, why can't we all be friends? And it was jealousy. The whole thing came out of jealousy, with Christian hurting Trish in a match, putting her in the walls of Jericho, and then, of course, Jericho coming back and, trying to fix things. He already hurt his knee. But this match started with a stare down, started with trash talk. Jericho was very over at this time. Both men, they were very physical, very aggressive in the opening of this match. The crowd was obviously very, very much behind Chris Jericho. Christian, he ended up, getting tossed out of the ring by Jericho. There was a lot of counters, a lot of holds. I'm not going to read this. I'm just going to go straight from what I remember. Well, there was a lot of counters, a lot of holds between these guys. It was a battle between these two. It never really went one way or the other for a very long period of time. These guys, it was like watching art on a screen, the way these two guys were. Jericho ends up hurting his knee in the match. So Christian, he goes for it. These guys, they tore it up. The crowd got such a treat. It wasn't a short match either. This match took a while. But let's see. Christian, he tried going for the kill switch, and Jericho would get out of it. Lots of pin reversals, a lot of pinning combinations. Jericho goes for the walls of Jericho. Christian gets out of it. He starts, there's one point he gets put in it. He tries crawling out of the ring, and Jericho holds on to it outside of the ring. He slides out with him, and he's holding on to it. They get back in the ring. They start slugging it out after knocking it. I mean, they beat each other almost to the point of exhaustion, and they're just on each other's knees, just hitting each other. They stand up, and they're hitting each other. And then Jericho ends up getting a DDT hit on him, and he kicks out. Trish comes out. She's, distracted Christian, and then he got attacked. Trish distracted Christian. He attacked her. Then Jericho checked on her. She accidentally hit him with her elbow, allowing Christian to get a pin, victory roll for a pin, a schoolboy. Man, this match was so good. I'm trying to explain this match to you, and I can't because of just how good it was. But, Christian got the win, and then afterwards, Trish, she's trying to apologize to him. She's trying to, I'm sorry. And he's like, it's okay. And he tries to walk away. She's like, no, really, I'm sorry. And he's like, it's okay. And then Christian gets back up on the apron, and Jericho goes for him, and she's like, no. And Jericho tries to lunge him again, and then when she pulls him back the second time, she slaps the fucking taste out of his mouth. It was like, damn! I honestly, this was back at a time when there wasn't a lot of dirt sheets going around. Usually didn't know about heel turns when they were coming, and so on and so forth. So when he hit her in the face, or when she hit him in the face, and then Christian hit him with the kill switch, they walked out of the ring, and she's just like, yeah, acting really bitchy all of a sudden. And then they make out on the ramp by the entrance. It was like, didn't see that coming. So nice swerve at the end. The match itself, like I said, I can't do it justice. Trying to play it out in my head to tell everyone, not easy. But it was so awesome. Definitely, this match alone probably gets, if I was to do a rate, it would get 9 out of 10. Easily, 9 out of 10. So you got Lillian Garcia. She's backstage, and she's interviewing Mick Foley. And he's talking about, being at Mania and trying not to get too emotional. And then The Rock comes in. He shows up. He's like, no, Mick, you just got to let it go, Mick. Let it go. And he shows the crowd. He gives this really great, promo, which The Rock usually does. And he talks about how they're going to go out there, whoop their candy asses, being at WrestleMania, just going all out for this match. The Rock is such a one-of-a-kind guy when it comes to his mic skills and even in his in-ring work. So then the match starts. It was a 3-on-2 handicap match, Rock and Sock Connection against Evolution, which is Ric Flair, Batista, and Randy Orton, the Intercontinental Champion. This was also the last WrestleMania that we would see The Rock until WrestleMania 27. So it was a treat. You didn't know it at the time. You know, you thought, oh, Rock will still show up next year, you know, whatever, and he didn't. Or the next, or the next. You barely even saw Rock on TV after this. But, so, you know, I just remember, being very hyped for this match, but at the end of it, also being kind of disappointed, because it wasn't everything I thought the match was going to be. Not saying it was a bad match, it didn't turn out to be everything that I wanted. But, you know, Rock came out, huge ovation. Foley came out, okay ovation. The match started fast. It had a brawl at the beginning of it, you know, with The Rock and Foley fighting all three of these guys. You saw that chemistry with The Rock and Foley that they've had since they started working together in '99. And just, it was like so good to see The Rock and Foley together. Foley hadn't had a match since WrestleMania 2000. So then he came back in and he did his thing. You got to see a stare-off between Ric Flair and The Rock. You got to see a glimpse of what a Randy Orton-Rock match could be. Batista was all right in this match. I don't think Batista was quite ready at the time when you thought they were going to start pushing him, but they kind of held off and waited. Just looking at this, you know, Batista, he showed his dominance, you know, his power and his muscle in this match, and he went at it. Just the way the dirty heel tactics that you saw in this match from Evolution, getting Foley on the outside while one was distracting and just beating up on Foley. The problem I had was there was too many hot tags with Foley and The Rock. I think this match went not as long as I would have liked, but it still kind of felt like it went too long. You know, there was 2 or 3 times that Foley and Rock ended up having to do hot tags. Now, the back and forth exchanges were good between, you know, Rock and Foley and whoever was on the other side. You got to see a lot of dream matchups, Foley and Flair. You saw Flair do the try to attempt the people's elbow, and then, you know, when he did the, you know, walking across, and then Rock stands up and slaps him down, and The Rock does the woo! Foley getting hardcore, you know, jumping to the outside to do elbow drops, but, you know, it came down to Orton, it came down to Foley. Foley ended up getting hit with the RKO and getting pinned. You could see the disappointment in Rock's face after the match, you know, but they were friends. And then they cut away. You didn't get to really see Rock and Foley do much after. They just cut away. And which leads you to them showing the highlights of the 2004 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. This was the first year that started the annual Hall of Fame inductions every year. You know, and they showed highlights of everyone receiving their awards and the bigger people. And this was your Hall of Fame class. And this was a really good Hall of Fame class. You had Don Morocco, Greg Valentine, Big John Studd, who his son John Minton Jr. accepted it for him, Pete Rose for the celebrity wing, the Junkyard Dog, whose daughter LaToya Ritter took it for him, Billy Graham, Sergeant Slaughter, Tito Santana, Harley Race, Jesse Ventura, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Of course, then they came out on the stage at Mania with Mean Gene introducing them. It was nice. You know, you just got to see him stand out there and get to thank the crowd. And Heenan got Weasel chants, and you know, he played it off like the pro that he is. And it's sad to know that, you know, Heenan isn't around anymore. You know, and during his speech at the Hall of Fame ceremony, he talked about it would just be great if Gorilla was there, because those two were a great tandem and they were good together. Then came a match that, honestly, as an adolescent, I was like, yeah, let's get in this match. It was the Playboy evening gown match. Usually an evening gown match worked where you had to get the evening gown off of the other person. You had Sable and Tori Wilson, who were the newest Playboy cover girls, and you had Miss Jackie and Stacy Keibler from Raw. Sable suggested, hey, why don't we all just get undressed now? So they all take off their evening gowns, except for Miss Jackie. She did the no, and Sable and Tori ripped it off of her anyways. And then they had a match, which was okay. None of the women in this match were necessarily great at wrestling, except for Sable. Sable was probably the best out of all of them. Sable and Tori won the match, which was a pin by Tori and then smacking Miss Jackie's bare ass while she had her in the pin. Face full ass on Miss Jackie getting her ass smacked. It was kind of hot. I won't lie. You saw Stacy; she was super athletic. She left the company shortly after this. And of course, Sable left because Brock left, which I'll get to here in a second. But then they showed, the fans from around the world coming to WrestleMania, giving their thoughts on being at WrestleMania. And then you saw Eddie and Benoit backstage. And Eddie gave Benoit a pep talk. He made it sound like, no one really expects you to win. And Benoit was like, really? I believe, Benoit, he got hyped. I got hyped. Eddie was hyped. Eddie, he played mind games with Benoit to get him intense and get him ready. Then you had the first ever Cruiserweight Open. Before I get to this, I miss Eddie Guerrero. I miss the fuck out of Eddie Guerrero. Dude was one of the best wrestlers. And I'll talk a little more on it once it gets to the match. In-ring work, the way he was on camera, backstage and promos, just his playfulness and how fun he was. I really do believe that was Eddie all the time. And it sucks that we lost him afterwards. But yeah, first Cruiserweight Open. This was an elimination match, and it was 10 guys, and each guy came in at random. So I had to write this all down, and I'm going to go over each fall with you. And here was everyone in the match. Chavo Guerrero, defending the title, came out with his dad, Chavo Sr., Rey Mysterio, Nunzio, Jamie Noble, Tajiri, Akio, Funaki, Shannon Moore, Ultimo Dragon, and Billy Kidman. Now, I will say about this match, it had a lot of action. It was a lot of aerial-like offense. It was very fast-paced. It went a lot quicker than I thought it would. I'm guessing WWE didn't give them a lot of time. It was just throw these guys' names in, because this was Ultimo Dragon's debut in WWE. They didn't really make a big deal about it, so that was kind of a bummer. It's just like, oh yeah, here's Ultimo Dragon too, with his dragon flames and stuff. Pretty sure this was his debut. If I was wrong, please correct me in the comments. But yeah, it was fast-paced. So it started off with Ultimo Dragon and Shannon Moore. Ultimo Dragon ended up getting the jumping reverse DDT on Shannon Moore. It was basically a coup de, not a coup de grace, but I don't remember the name of the move, but he just reversed DDT into, yeah. And then you had a front face lock submission on Ultimo Dragon by Jamie Noble, a reverse crossbody into a small package on Funaki by Jamie Noble. Then Nunzio won his fall by countout. Kidman did a shooting star press to the outside on like 3 of them at one time. And then he got the BK, and he hurt his neck, actually, in this match, because after this, I don't think you really saw Kidman too much more. I know he ended up teaming with Paul London. They were tag team champions, but he kind of fell off shortly after that. I think he kind of hurt his neck. But dude gained weight. But he ended up hitting Noble with the BK bomb off the top rope. Then you had a somersault powerbomb off the top by Kidman. A victory roll on Tajiri. Who was that? Oh, yeah. Tajiri ended up hitting a somersault powerbomb off the top rope onto Kidman. And then victory roll on Tajiri by Rey Mysterio. No, it was Rey Mysterio who got him. Yeah, Rey Mysterio did it. And then he eliminated Tajiri. He ended up hitting Akio with his green mist, so Akio couldn't compete. Then with help from Chavo Sr., Rey Mysterio lost the match. And this, like I said, this match went so quick. But highlight of the match, I think, was Rey Mysterio's somersault off of the ropes to the outside onto Chavo Sr. That was the highlight of this match. So, and then maybe, yeah, the shooting star press. The match was so quick, there wasn't really a lot of spots to really go over. It was okay for what it was. But, oh my gosh, now I got to talk about this match. On paper, this next match, you would think is going to be the best match on the card. It was Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the special referee. Man, this match was such a disappointment. The whole build around this was, Goldberg and Lesnar had a little run in it. Survivor Series, they were both world champions. And then at the Rumble, Lesnar, defended his title, and he, interrupted Goldberg's interview when Goldberg was talking about entering the Rumble at 30 and winning. And then Brock come out cost Goldberg the title. Then Goldberg shows up at No Way Out, costs Lesnar his championship. And just then, like I said, the match on paper should have been. I was expecting a brutal match, a match in which these two were just going to tear the fuck out of each other and hurt each other in such a way that it would be to the levels of freaking Triple H and Mick Foley at Royal Rumble type beatings with each other. But what we got, both men didn't want to be there because Goldberg didn't like the way the company ran. He was only in his first year, and he didn't like the way he was being booked. Lesnar wanted to go try the thing, so he was on his way out the door. And instead of letting these guys just leave, they're like, no, we still need you for WrestleMania. You're still going to do this match. Neither guy tried. This match was, for the first 5 minutes, was just them staring and posing down. Lesnar, and Goldberg just, it was just like, oh my God, is it ever going to start? And Austin just standing there watching. Austin was more over than either Lesnar or Goldberg. JR even brought up, there's rumors of Lesnar wanting to leave, but who can blame him? And Lesnar did go to the NFL, and he failed. But ended up in the UFC and did phenomenal, but this crowd, like I said, they started chanting, "You sold out" chants. They were cheering for Austin. Austin got a bigger pop than either one of those guys. Goldberg sucks chants. It felt uncomfortable. Even when I went back and rewatched it here recently, it felt uncomfortable watching this match. Watching these two, when they finally hooked up, it was, collar, elbow, tie up. Who's more powerful and break? Collar, elbow, tie up. It was like 10 minutes into the match before Lesnar even really started doing any actual offense. And then Lesnar, Goldberg, they're like one and the same at this time. Goldberg does a couple of moves, he ends up hitting a spear, and it just, this match sucked. Out of all the matches on this card, this match sucked. I don't even really want to talk about it, because why do I want to talk about a match that they didn't even want to be there for? But I have to. Spear, Lesnar kicks out. F5, Goldberg kicks out. Spear and jackhammer, Goldberg wins. The crowd wasn't into it. I wasn't into it. Once I realized what was going on, I just didn't want to watch it no more. I was like, fuck this match. But after the match, Lesnar flipped off Austin. He flipped off the fans. He ended up getting a Stone Cold Stunner. Austin pulls out his beers. He gives Goldberg a beer. They crack, salute. And then Goldberg gets a stunner. And then Austin rides off on his four-wheeler, giving them both the bird. And that was the best part of the match, was Austin. And he wasn't even the guy wrestling. I mean, that was, if you watch this WrestleMania, it, to me, was the worst part of this WrestleMania. So then you get Vince comes out. He thanks the fans for being there, thanks them for making WrestleMania what it was. Sure, Vince, sure you'd care. Now we get our second of our fatal four-way sudden death tag team title matches. This is for the WWE tag team titles, which was a SmackDown tag team title. I did not agree with two tag team champions. I did not agree when they ended up with two women's champions. I was okay with two world champions because I guess it made it easier for whoever was champion, but I still think there should have been one. This match had Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, the Basham brothers, the APA before JBL went solo, and Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty were your champions on SmackDown. Like I said in the first one, the tag team division in WWE, you had quite a few tag teams. The world's greatest tag team, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, fantastic team. But then they got broke up after this with the draft. The better teams, were definitely on SmackDown. But this match was fast-paced. The Bashams were vicious. Haas and Benjamin, they were such a phenomenal team. I think they're teaming up in the Indies now, as a matter of fact. Not that it has anything to do with this, just the thought that came into my head. Scotty 2 Hotty, he got worked over by the team, but he kept fighting. Rikishi ends up getting his tag. He clears the ring. Stinkface to Charlie Haas. ends up breaking down, becomes a little chaotic. Rikishi drops, does a big old butt drop on Basham, and he gets the match. And then after the match, Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hottie, they do the dance like when they were part of Too Cool. It was okay. Rikishi got a WrestleMania victory. Scotty got a WrestleMania victory. But I mean, honestly, I didn't care about the tag teams at that time because teams never stuck together. It was, let's throw these two together, give them the belts, and then we'll break them up and start a feud. We're back in the glory days with like Dudleys and Hardys, Edge and Christian, Demolition, the Hart Foundation, and all those great teams, the Rockers. Eventually they'd break up, but they were still together for so long. It was so much better. Tag team, it was prominent, and I missed that. And we're kind of back to that now, but then Jesse Ventura comes out, and he interviewed Donald Trump, complimented his hair, talked about running for president. Maybe we need a president in the White House in 2008. No, we don't. And he never ran. Got Donald Trump's endorsement, but here we are, 2016, 12 years later, and Donald Trump is running for president, and Jesse Ventura is doing a conspiracy show on True TV. Last I checked. Here was one of the better matches. Hair versus title for the Women's Championship. Molly Holly versus the champion Victoria. I had a crush on Victoria at this time. She came out to All the Things She Said, which was a song by Tattoo. All the things she said, all the things she said, running through my head. I'll stop. She got a huge ovation. Madison Square Garden showed her love. This was the best women's match I had seen on WrestleMania in quite a few years. Because year, 18 was a triple threat match. 19 was Jazz and Trish, which didn't really turn out great. This was good. And then the decline of the women's division started to happen a couple years later. Victoria could go. Molly, even though they made fun of her and her granny panties, she could go. I mean, this match, they worked a good pace. Molly had this match a majority of it, but for them working and this being a WrestleMania, to me, they gave a WrestleMania worthy match. It was a little rushed. I think they could have had a little more time, but it was what it was. It's been a few days since I watched it, and Victoria she sold really well. Not played, but she sold well in this match, allowing Molly to, no way Molly's going to lose. Molly's, whooping her. But Molly went for a Black Widow, or Widow's Peak, and Victoria got out of it and gave her a backslide, and she pinned her. And Molly plays the, and then she tries to run, and Victoria catches her and knocks her down and gets her knocked out, gets her in the barber chair, and they shaved her head. Oh, I felt so bad, because I even remember watching it then and being like, I don't want to see Molly get shaved. Molly's got great hair. What are they doing? But it was what it was. Then you get your promo for the Eddie Guerrero-Kurt Angle match. Man, this match was great. Eddie was the champion, won the title from Lesnar, No Way Out, and this was built on Kurt Angle feeling like if he doesn't get the title from Eddie Guerrero, the WWE is going to collapse because of the champion that they have in Eddie. And that Eddie, being a former drug addict. I mean, they really played that in this match. Eddie being the drug addict and stuff that he used to be. Kurt played that. Kurt turned heel for this match. And he was such a great heel during this run. Unfortunately, Kurt's career took a bump after this. But, the match, it was about the title, which doesn't happen a lot anymore. Kurt wanted to be the champion. It was about respect. Kurt felt he should be respected. Eddie felt like he should be respected. And Kurt was disrespecting Eddie. But this was a wrestling classic. It was back and forth. Kurt Angle, you had the caliber of Kurt Angle, an Olympic gold medalist, and then you had the pro that Eddie was and how he could sell, and then his character and his personality, and then Kurt's personality and how they clashed, yet in the ring worked so well together. And they played off, they were friends, and then Kurt played betraying him. And the story was being told, and they didn't use words. It was all in the ring. Kurt, working on, Eddie, German suplex, and this suplex, and that suplex, and then Eddie would get in his offense, and then Kurt would cut him off. It was such a great match. Man, every time Eddie would try to pick up the pace, Kurt would try to keep the pace slow. He'd try to keep it to his pace because he knew if Eddie built up speed, built up steam, then, Latino heat was going to come out. Eddie had counters. He would take control of the match. They kept battling for the control of this match. Eddie tried diving on Angle from over the ropes to the outside, and Angle moved. Angle was such a mat technician, and I hope Kurt comes back because he just retired from TNA. I hope he comes back, as I do like Jeff Hardy and quite a few of them. But did I mention this was like a wrestling classic? Like, this was a 5-star match. This was what you think of WrestleMania. You think of this match as much as you would, think of Steamboat and Randy Savage. This was like that level of great WrestleMania matches. Angle, he put a wrestling clinic on Eddie. Kept working on Eddie. He finally started going for the ankle on Eddie. He was vicious, and he was like this little pit bull that just would not go away, and he just kept going for it. Eddie showed his passion. He would fight back. He ended up, gaining momentum, clothesline, suplex, and fists. Angle reversed the suplex into a German, went for the second. It got reversed into a victory roll, 2 count. Then it got, countered. Eddie went for the 3 amigos. That got reversed into an ankle lock. So it was back and forth. Eddie went for the frog splash. Angle, reversed it. Hit him in the over the head suplex. The story of this was Angle just showing his dominance on Eddie, yet Eddie showing you that never say die attitude, showing that passion, that Latino heat that he had. Then, Angle went for another ankle lock. Eddie finally got him off, and Kurt went out the ring, and Kurt, was collecting himself. Eddie's untying his boot and holding his ankle, really selling it. And Kurt sees it, and Eddie just got that look like, oh, fuck, I'm in trouble. And he's trying to scoot away. Angle gets back in there, gets him back in it. He's holding him in it, and Eddie's trying to kick him off. And then when Eddie kicks him, the shoe comes off, and Kurt's just holding it, and he runs after Eddie. Eddie gets him into a small package, uses his feet to hold the ropes, gets the 3 count, rolls out of the ring, ankle's fine. And he's just like, yeah! Eddie, that was what was great about Eddie, especially towards the end with his characters, how it was, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Selling the whole Latino heat, the lie and the cheat and the steal thing. You shouldn't endorse that, especially if you're a young kid. You shouldn't lie, you shouldn't cheat, and you shouldn't steal. But as far as the character went, you felt like that was really Eddie. And Kurt's just mad. He throws the shoe at him, and it was so... My God, this match was spectacular. I could go on for hours about this match because of just how awesome it really was. And as I was starting to talk about earlier, I really miss Eddie Guerrero, and I miss his passion. I miss his infectious smile and his happiness and his positivity. The things that Eddie Guerrero went through in his life, and to die at such a young age, just a year later, really sucked. And it really, I just wish we could have got more of Eddie. I would be selfish. I cried the night of his memorial. I don't know if I get to talk about Eddie anymore during this WrestleMania series, but just, oh man, these guys, just Eddie was, he's going to be missed. And I know if Wayne was here, Wayne would say the same thing, because Eddie Guerrero, man, he was such phenomenal talent. And when you watched him, you felt happy. And he even stated, no matter how much pain he was in, no matter how bad of a day it was, if once he went through those cards, it all washed away. And I could say the same. Whenever I'd see Eddie come out to the ring, I knew I was getting a great match. And I knew that it was going to be good, and I'd feel good. And I always did every time I saw Eddie. So rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero. I just wanted to say that. Next was another big match. The Undertaker versus Kane. For the second time. This was their second match. This was they also had a match 6 years earlier at WrestleMania 14. This match was built on the fact that Survivor Series, Undertaker was buried by Kane. Undertaker had been the American badass persona, riding on his bike, coming out, to like blues music. He wasn't the demon of Death Valley. He wasn't the dead man. But then, Kane's like, he's not coming back. He's dead. He's gone. That's it. So Kane comes out, and this gave me such chills. Kane's standing there, and then you hear the dong, the lights go out, and you hear Paul Bear's voice. Here come the Druids, and here comes Paul Bear with the Druids holding the urn, and he's walking out, and he's looking at Kane in disgust. You ain't no son of mine! And he looks back up the ramp, the Druids get in position, and it goes silent. And then you hear the ding, and the lightning strikes. I'm getting chills, thinking about this. And then here comes The Undertaker. You'd been wanting this for so many years. You liked the American Badass persona, but at a point you were like, man, I'd really like to see The Undertaker come back with that dark, menacing, I'm a dead guy persona. And here comes The Undertaker to the, that's a horrible impression of it, but seeing him come out, walking slow, with just the rolling the eyes back, doing the whole dead man thing again. He gets in the ring, and Kane's just like, no, you're not real. And he goes to touch him, and then Undertaker just punches him in the mouth. Undertaker went off on him. Undertaker beat him up. Kane gained a little bit of momentum. I mean, the crowd went crazy. I had chills. I got chills right now. It's so weird. Undertaker unleashed hell on Kane in this match. And then Kane, he overpowered Undertaker. A little bit of impact, offense. Kane is up reversing the last ride, knocking Undertaker down. He pummels Undertaker. You can even get to see Undertaker just sit up and look at Kane, and Kane, after Kane just delivered a choke slam. And Undertaker gets up and he's just do. And what was good about it is it wasn't just like the Undertaker was just he had the mix of the American Badass persona with his old persona, It really went well together. But he ends up hitting the Tombstone Piledriver on Kane. Match didn't last long, which I kind of expected because Undertaker had been gone for so long. He just had to get back into it. But, man, it was great to see The Undertaker come back. And that was 12 years ago. He's competed at every WrestleMania since that time. And this is when he was, went 12-0. So, wow. The legacy that The Undertaker has had. And I'm going to talk about this man a lot more during these. So, because The Undertaker, they'll call Shawn Michaels Mr. WrestleMania, but Undertaker is Mr. WrestleMania when you really think about it. And that segue into the last final match, the triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Mr. WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels, versus the champion, the game, Triple H, and the number one contender, the Royal Rumble winner for 2004, Chris Benoit. This was built starting from the Rumble. Chris Benoit was on SmackDown. Paul Heyman had everything going against Chris Benoit to keep him from becoming WWE champion. Put Benoit in the Rumble at number 1. Benoit won. Longest guy in the Rumble in history. Up till Rey Mysterio came in and won it in 06. Yeah, Triple H and Shawn Michaels were in the middle of a feud for the world title. And here comes Chris Benoit on the Raw. Hey, I'm next in line. Shawn, you have to take a back seat. HBK wasn't having none of it. I got to adjust myself. My butt's going numb. So Shawn gets into it. He signs the contract. So you end up with the triple threat match. And this match, they played it up well. It starts right off the bat with Triple H and Benoit arguing about who's going to hit Triple H first. So they take exchanges beating up Triple H, and then finally they beat up each other, and Triple H gets into the mix. This match was super physical. Shawn Michaels went high, went aerial often, and he did it early. This match was everything you wanted to see in a triple threat match. Every man kept himself involved in this match. There was blood. There was them outside the ring fighting. There was great wrestling in this match. You know, Triple H sold great. Shawn sold great. Benoit sold great. These men went 20 minutes, and they blew the roof off. So often at WrestleMania or Super Bowl, you know, you get to your main match, and sometimes it doesn't quite live up to it, but this WrestleMania lived up to the hype of it. You know, this was where it all begins to begin. The biggest WrestleMania in history, the 20th anniversary, Madison Square Garden. These guys, they showed up. And let me go over a few of the things that they had that happened. You know, like I said, HBK, he went up for it. He went quick. Benoit took advantage of Shawn Michaels. Let's see, where am I? You know, HBK and Shawn, they fought like they hated each other. Triple H took advantage for a bit, you know, beating down both men. Benoit then took advantage, hitting 3 Germans in a row on Triple H. Then Triple H and Benoit exchanged headbutts on the top turnbuckle, just back and forth. Then HBK hit a super kick on Benoit. Triple H or HBK hit a super kick on Benoit, and he pulled Triple H out of the ring. HBK got busted open by hitting the turnbuckle. Benoit got the crossface on HBK, and he was going to tap. Triple H stopped it. Benoit got the crossface again. They fought outside the ring. Triple H and HBK, they suplexed Benoit from one table through the other, so Benoit was just out. Benoit eventually got back into the match after, you got a bloody Triple H, a bloody Shawn Michaels just sitting there like, let's freaking go. So they went at it one-on-one for a while. Benoit gets back in, breaks up the pin after a super kick. Man, he ends up getting the sharpshooter on Triple H, and then HBK super kicks him to get him out of it. So he's just laying there. Shawn sets up for Sweet Chin Music again, and he's got the band tuned up, and he goes for it, and Benoit ducks, tosses him out of the ring. Triple H goes for the pedigree. Benoit reverses that, gets him into the crossface. So you got Triple H, he's sitting there, and he's trying to hold on, trying not to tap out. And he starts to fade, but then he forces himself back up, rolls through. Benoit holds on some more, so finally Triple H taps out. And then you got Chris Benoit in the middle of the ring, crying, with blood on his arm from Triple H, blood on his face from touching himself. It was a great moment for WrestleMania history. And then you got Eddie Guerrero coming out there, and because they were best friends. Eddie, Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko, and Chris Benoit, they came to WWE together 4 years before that. They couldn't get nowhere, in WCW, but there they were something, although, Perry and Malenko kind of faded off. But, Eddie and Benoit, both world champions, in the middle of the ring together, confetti flying. It was a great moment, even though you know what happens later on. The match was great. I mean, the overall pay-per-view was really good. I give this freaking 8 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. It was a really great WrestleMania. So, despite the Benoit issue, I can get past that and take it WrestleMania for what it was at the time it was, seeing that feel-good moment of Benoit being champion. You know, they had a rematch at Backlash in Edmonton, and Benoit, and that match was just as good. So that is it for this review for WrestleMania 20. This is episode 4 of my Road to WrestleMania series. Like I said, I think I got 2 more coming this weekend. I'm not sure, but thank you all for watching this video. I'm Zach from the Yo Bro Gaming Review channel. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Hit that like button, subscribe, follow us on our social media. All the information's down below. And you can also find links to the other Road to WrestleMania series. I have right here, above me, right there, is a link to the last one. You click on that, you can go watch the last one. So thank you guys all. You've seen them popping up through here. You can watch Raws. I got all those reviews. Movie reviews. You got some old game reviews from Wayne. Go watch those. Support him. Support us. Thank you all. Peace out, and I'll see you guys later. And it was the opening, and it stole the show. Well, other matches had to follow it, and a lot of them couldn't. There was one other match on this card that came close. We'll get to it. But this match was set up by the fact that Owen became jealous of Brett. That Brett was having all the spotlight, and he was in the shadows, and you know, him knocking Brett down at the Survivor Series in '93, leading to them actually trying